Guys, thanks for joining me on Sewer for Good today. I've got a special guest. I'm in Melbourne and I'm with Byron Landeryou from Waterproof Awareness. And Byron, I'm not going to get into his story because it's a really interesting one. We're going to cover a lot of ground today. But Byron has been actively involved in the industry. Many people in Victoria know him. But you guys around the country now are going to meet someone who's got a lot of smarts in this space and has got a lot to say about where waterproofing is and where it's going. Byron, thanks for joining me, mate.
Thank you, Phil.
So Byron, before we get into the specifics on the waterproofing side, just give us a bit of your background, because you started off as a tiler. You've got many tilers that follow this program, but give it to us from there.
So been in the construction industry for approximately 20 years. Did a little bit of everything, but predominantly was tiling, and got introduced to waterproofing probably at around sort of the 4 to 5 year mark in tiling. And I was actually sort of lucky. I was one of the ones who learnt how to waterproof properly. And
that was because of who you had teaching you?
Well, I actually first started off with someone else who's not Gripset, but Marpe, so Paul Buckley.
Okay, so they gave you a bit of a ground.
So they, but like everyone else, just get trained out on site. That's how the industry's been formed. And, that has good and bad things attached to it both. But I was lucky and we honed our knowledge base and our vast range of products that we use. So we tried different systems and we learnt to refine our techniques based off that. So being quite a sort of high achiever, chased high quality work, which involved using different systems and so forth. So did a lot of high-end tiling and waterproofing to go with that. Then I got into the teaching space, where the on-site sort of assessment process came in, and for Cert 3 trade level. Once again, that has a good and bad.
And that was through Polytechnic?
That wasn't through Melbourne Poly, it was through Holmesglen initially.
Holmesglen, okay, yeah.
And so I did that for a little bit, and then I went to Melbourne Polytechnic and helped them with their waterproofing Certificate 3 training, which from what I hear from industry is up there with the industry leaders. And just really heightened my awareness to how big an industry waterproofing is and how much I didn't know. So
and let me tell you, there's a lot more still learning, even though you do know. It's a never-ending learning game.
It'll never stop.
We're all doing that.
Yeah. So, and I suppose going through the process, you learn to find people who know what you don't know specifically, and that's what I like to do as part of my consulting business that I run now. But I left the TAFE and then have helped master builders develop their short course in waterproofing.
So what was the motivation behind creating Waterproof Awareness, the business, the consulting business? Did you see a space in the market where it wasn't being attended to? Was it just because of fed up with all what you're seeing out there, or thinking that you can make a bit of an impact in the game?
Education is a big reason why the industry is in such a bad way, and
lack of, and a lack of continual improvement, and building practices have changed so dramatically over the last 20 years. And what I commonly found was people were making mistakes and they weren't even aware of it. And so teaching from a contractor's perspective, so at a trade contractor's level or subcontractor level, I found that was a really common theme when we were teaching people who had experience, and obviously those who didn't have experience, they would have low skill sets. But then now teaching at master builders, their short courses, builders are the same. Builders, some don't even know what the National Construction Code is, and they don't know what the standards are. They're expecting people to be subject matter experts who hold this trade level of qualification, and they're not. And so this has led to a huge raft of issues. So it really needs to come back down to the fundamental process of education. And that's what I'm heavy in doing. So everyone that I work with and do my consulting with, I don't want to work with them for 20 years as a client. If I can help them get them in the right direction, then when they have some technical issues that they can't answer, that's when they ring me. So typically, who is your client? Like guys that are watching out here, could a waterproofer or a tiling company go, you know what, let's bring this guy Byron in, and what can he do for us? Can he educate us? Or are you dealing with more of their clients, like the builders or the project managers, must say?
So
part of developing the resources with master builders, I ended up jumping back on the tools after a while, which really hurt the body again. But it's hard to find resources for waterproofing. So I used a couple of different systems there, liquid and sheet applied systems. And it was very much an educational process for myself as well. And so the builder, he had some design fundamental issues, like that would have led to extensive rectification further down the track. So from me just being on the job with him, I think I saved him over 100 grand just off the bat, and that's probably lowballing it.
Yeah.
But I also learnt that the trades that had to work before or after the waterproofing process are still talking the same talk from 15 years ago.
Yep.
So they've never had to learn any continual improvement. And you know, back when I started waterproofing, it was, let's open this bucket of blue stuff,
Yep.
paint it on the wall, money for jam, see you later. And I actually thought that, you know, I thought that at the start as well.
Because you only know what you know.
It's easier than tiling, you know, so I was getting, you know, $50 a metre for tiling, and then I was getting that for waterproofing. But now, you know, the methodology really has to be build to waterproof and then build post waterproofing, and results are the one thing that really highlights that fact. Is it's the #1 costly building defect in Australia.
And you've gone beyond just the wet area. I know your tiling background, so
Yep.
obviously tiling systems with waterproofing, as you said, MAPE helped you get into it.
Yep.
So that was the focus on internal, external wet areas. But you've now gone beyond that with your knowledge. You know, we've been talking about box gutters,
Yep.
underground areas,
Yep.
planter boxes.
Yep.
So it's the full building envelope now that you're involved in?
I am, and I'm not going to say that I'm all over every facet,
No.
but I work with a team of people that I can bounce off who can help me where I can't have the in-depth knowledge. Because one thing that I find, you know, architects are lacking, and I had a really interesting conversation with a student that I taught during the week who works for a prominent commercial company, and he said architects are the same as what the tradies are now. The old school tradies knew all facets of the game, of their particular trade, and so a lot of new architects, they might be really good at designing beautiful looking buildings, but they don't understand how the holistic approach of how everything needs to intertwine with each other, and which was an interesting concept. So that wouldn't be all of them, but he said the old school architects really understood waterproofing and watershed theory and how things need to interrelate.
And look, also architects are paid for their creativity
Yeah.
in many ways, and so waterproofing is like this much of what their focus is
Yeah.
on. Because at the end of the day, when I look at that building across the road, I look at it and marvel at it. I don't look at it and go, oh shit, I wonder what the waterproofing is inside that. And that's how they're judged.
Yeah.
So they're a big part of what the waterproofing industry requires.
Yeah.
Because it does fall down at design level, and we see that even with draftsmen,
Yeah.
with domestic residential builders. It's
Yeah.
just simple stuff. I've spoken about this before, but Hardy's got a great manual for their decking.
Yeah.
It's a real simple detail to follow.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter whether you're illiterate from you can't read English, the drawing's there to show you where the recess is and what needs to follow.
Yeah.
Yet we're lucky if we find 10 or 20% of balconies or decks we went to today around domestic residential market all over the country that have been set up correctly like that.
100%.
And that is my, we need to integrate all the key pieces on this.
We
But
really do.
from your time in waterproofing now, where have you seen things change from when you were tiling to now, with or without your influence, just with what's happening out in the marketplace? Because there is more of an awareness. When we met at the roundtable discussion about Certificate 3, but are we finding more guys are out there training? Does that mean that actually we are better for it with Cert 3 training, or where does it need to go beyond that?
So I'll answer that question in a sec. So my clients are really all the facets of the industry. So from the builder to the homeowner who has some building issues that maybe need a report done, or to design, all facets. But so I will plug myself there.
Yeah,
so hit me up, I can help. But so as far as the training goes, I feel sometimes with manufacturers, from what I've been, sometimes the training can actually set people up to fail as well, because it's a false sense of security to say, okay, I've attended this training session and it's not adequate enough, because it doesn't highlight the building components or the building design or problem identification. It's okay, this is how we install the product, this is how you're meant to do it. And through a lot of that training, there's not in-depth time on the tools. And from a Certificate 3 level, the courses are simply not long enough. It really needs to probably go down the traineeship level, where people actively work on the tools and have to go in similar to the apprenticeship-based model. So there's an argument in the industry where people say that, you know, waterproofing shouldn't be a licensed trade. I think people should become licensed for the particular area that they do it in because of the widespread issues which tend to become structural from waterproofing failure through education.